Hello, everybody. It's your old friends at Monday Madness, and welcome to the latest episode of GrapsWatch, the show about the very unprofessional world of professional wrestling. We've had a little bit of a break after a little bit of excursion after WrestleMania and some of our domestic adventures, but we're back talking about wrestling in a bit of a wider context this time, a bit of a highbrow conversation about a very performative sport. We're talking about storytelling and all things in between. What is it? How is it done? How is it done well? How is it done badly? And what can we learn from all the various conversations that we have around it? In between that, we do still have our rounds of creative control for her Mirror WWE Universe and Sundry. And we also do our top graps list towards the end as it bookends our conversations about storytelling. So hopefully you enjoyed this rather intellectual conversation about professional wrestling. I promise you won't make a habit of it, but if you did enjoy this, by all means jump in on the comments and jump in on what we were talking about. But until then, here's our latest episode of GrapsWatch. So, we're well and truly on the post WrestleMania come down. I think it's fair to say. We've had three WWE shows or rather two WWE shows, and a third one on the way this weekend, where a grand total of fucking nothing has happened. And we've also had an AEW show that has seemed to be kind of more of the same as well. So we're on a bit of a kind of like regular wrestling kind of hum at the moment. So I thought we'd take this upon a podcast, and it was actually Brian that kind of put this seed into my head, like the little fucking Alan Titchmarsh that he is, to talk about storytelling, and in a very kind of abstract sense as well, because when we talk about storytelling, I think it can be quite a generic term, especially in wrestling as a whole, because we could mean a couple of different things there. Like we could mention that we could talk about the actual wrestling aspect, which is in itself storytelling, or we could be talking about the booking, which is on the more the production side slash writing and all this sort of stuff. So I suppose we could probably attack it from two different angles in that sense. And then maybe in the second half, we can kind of like be a bit more relevant as to what's going on right now. What are we kind of missing from the kind of current products that are out there? And is it just generally lacking, or is it us that's the problem? Basically, I'm trying to see if we are actually Principal Skinner in this equation. And is it the children that are wrong, or are we just out of touch? So, Brian, I think I'll start with you on this conversation, then, because obviously this was your this is something that you kind of like suggested to us in a production meeting that we called the WhatsApp group chat. So what was it about the kind of storytelling aspect of it that you wanted to kind of deconstruct on this podcast?
Bray Wyatt is a one of one, a creative force, storyteller, mind, expressive person who was never really able to fulfill what I felt was his boundless potential. And it came in the form of having a discussion with Foxy and Dennis about entrance music. And having talked with Katie and then subsequently Shane of the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show, that using your entrance music as your shine was something that's really stuck in my head. And the topic of conversation was with Foxy and Dennis was about entrance music. And Dennis, you know, had his love of Bray, and he's a cutter above the rest. That man. There you go, reference. But I made the point that Bray Wyatt's allure is greater than the product of professional wrestling. His entrances are so cool, his character work is so amazing, and it's so nuanced and layered that when they do a fucking collar and elbow tie up, it all just kind of goes flat. And I felt there was It was a bump in the road in terms of storytelling, the equivalent of when we're watching Bluey and then I want to turn on wrestling. There's a tone shift in the room, and then that got me thinking about storytelling and tone. And I'm like, oh, because there's a load of, if you're aware, there's a load of like AI images floating around some wrestling groups on Facebook that I've seen of people either talking about new promotions or new factions in wrestling. And I'm like, I can't really find a tone for this. It seems they're really trying to be vague and tease it out. And it really got me thinking about wrestling as genres. Like, if you're going to try and make a name for yourself as a promotion, you kind of need to hook into something. And especially in terms of Bray, was horror. Certainly, but by the end, it was horror. Whether it was horror or horrific, that is up to you. But so much about wrestling is so broadly talked about. It's wrestling. I'm like, yeah, but it's more than wrestling. It's still a vehicle for storytelling, but I think we miss that as an audience. We forget that it is actually just supposed to be a really good story, and whether you take the really bland fucking cookie cutter approach of WWE or the very Wild West, seemingly fucking loosey goosey style of AEW, there's something missing in between the two. Whereas I don't believe or give a shit about most stories in wrestling. And I don't know whether it's because here's the kind of the setup. Is wrestling just shit at telling stories when you have movies and television and theater? Why is wrestling so bad at telling stories? Or is wrestling so brilliant at stories, but I've just been around too long and I've missed it?
Quite interesting thesis there, and I think that's something we can kind of go on there. Jamie, have you got anything on that you wanted to present either as a counter argument or as a supporting argument, maybe to that aspect?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I completely agree. Wrestling isn't a genre; it's a medium. Um, and within that, you have endless opportunity. But it is at its core stories. But so is everything. Like Bluey at its best, as you mentioned, it's stories. Whether it's the grandpa saying no, it was just yesterday, or any of the
Note
other infinite heartbreaking moments.
note that I put Bluey up against wrestling
Wrestling.
because
Mm.
Bluey is in a
But
league of its fucking own.
yeah, but again, and I don't think wrestling is shit at storytelling. I think, like you were saying, WWE is overly simple. I don't think it is. I think the problem with WWE is that they drag everything out for too long. That it's not that the stories are inherently awful, it's that it takes far too long for them to tell them
Well, yeah,
because they are looking to squeeze everything
they're
they can
the
out of it.
the brush strokes are far broader to drag it the fuck out, which
Yeah,
means the steps are simpler. That's how I
yeah.
view it. I mean, no, you're
It's
fucking spot on.
built,
Yeah, you're
it
absolutely
seems
spot
to
on.
be built for the casual fan. Someone who, if they're going to dip in some weeks on the run to a show, they'll still know exactly what's going on.
Mm.
No one's getting left behind in WWE because it'd be nigh on impossible. In
It's just
AEW,
mm,
they have so many tiny bits of things that should make up stories, but instead it just comes out as noise. It's and a lot of it is kind of a build your own adventure style thing where you have to remember that these people had a match 6 years ago in that bingo hall and they did this and now that move in that match is a callback to that. And it nearly expects too much out of the fans. You need to have thousands of hours of free time just to keep up. But those are just two examples. Those are two companies. Those are two very different problems.
Like it's yeah, it's
And
a
putting out good content at the minute.
but like that,
by
Yeah,
my
that
standards
was
as a
that.
fan.
Yeah, that's what I was going
However,
to kind of chime in there
I
with was
have been getting my wrestling fix from TNA,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
have been telling wonderful stories.
okay. Because that's what I was going to kind of chime in there with was that I actually do disagree, and I
Obviously,
very rarely disagree with Brian, but I do disagree with Brian on the point that that wrestling is a bad medium for storytelling. I don't think it actually is. Um, I think the difference is that like wrestling is such a unique medium that it does storytelling in a certain way. And I'll actually use now. I'm not at all a good example of a New Japan Wrestling fan because I already watched the product. But for what the stuff that I tend to dip in for the kind of peak. So I've always tipped in for Wrestle Kingdom and for some of the kind of the key matches. And I always go back to certain matches and think there's a way that they present their product to maximize the storytelling aspect of it. And I think there's a lot of kind of key elements to it. One, it's the actual action itself is consistent with its own brand. So like New Japan in particular, and in general Japanese wrestling very much maximizes the sporting side of it. This is an athletic competition between two combatants. But Japan always also has those kind of cultural elements of it being a kind of an honor, something that's kind of an honorable fight quality to it. So these two are gladiators that you're watching, and you have an audience then that is not necessarily cheering, whooping, falling into morality play, but they're watching, they're studying, they're getting absorbed into what's going on, and they are almost feeling the pain as these people are competing. Like I kind of always almost like jokingly kind of like slag off the fans for like weeping 25 minutes into a Omega Okada match. But there's a reason they are, because they're feeling unbelievable pathos for these two people who are damn near killing themselves with their entertainment. But again, it's a lot of it goes down to the way it's presented as well. So the camera work in New Japan is second to none. I don't think any American promotion does it better than New Japan, because they're able to focus on key things and hide key things as well.
mm,
Even small things about having photographers kind of dot around the place, having it feel a little bit claustrophobic in areas, the commentary booth being placed where it is. So it fits an aesthetic that suits what the product is. And then the commentary itself then is usually top notch. It's very informed, it's very educated, and it's buying into whatever story they're going into. And that's a key kind of like skill of commentary as well. Is essentially contextualizing what's been there already. And that's a key thing for most sports. Anyone who does commentary will probably say the same thing, that sometimes the biggest skill is painting the picture around what you're seeing. So like why is this person doing what they are right now, and how is it significant? And that applies to all sports, not just wrestling. But the commentators in particular for New Japan, well, I don't think they're the best in the world, but they are produced well in that they give you the context. They will dip in, as you said, Jamie. Sometimes you kind of get that balance of like being a casual fan, but also being like watching the product on a regular basis. They don't assume either. They will just tell you this is the significance of what happened here, and that's it. It could be just a line or two, and you're fully caught up then. So to go back to what you were saying about Brian, about the kind of almost the two polar opposites of storytelling kind of spectrum, both sides have issues, and I do totally agree with you on that. I think like there's to me it's always a feel like whatever one side does, the other does the opposite, and somewhere in the middle is where you're actually finding the really sweet spots that everyone is kind of missing. um so yes, wrestling stories are being told a little bit too slowly in WWE, and in AEW there are a runaway freight train that you have to try and keep up with.
like
And either way, you're missing out something, because you're essentially missing out on the kind of the whatever stuff that you're trying to get across is
like
missing the mark on both sides.
like it's like the like Omega and Okada was this, seemingly legendary kind of run with two people
Mm.
that had a beginning, middle, and end. You can say it's still technically ongoing, but you do have to, because wrestling doesn't fucking ever stop. It's so hard to articulate a fucking story. Because take, the Undertaker, the Boneyard match. You were like, all right, well, that's it. That puts context on his whole wait, what in the Saudi? You just see that it just never fucking ends. You take someone who I've loved, hated, loved, hated, loved, and hated in Sami Zayn. He never gets a fucking. He never gets a break. He never gets to articulate. He's always constantly metamorphosizing into the next iteration of him, and it's at least with a movie, the fucking credits roll. You can go right, it's done. When the play is over, the curtain comes down and the story fucking finishes. The only way you can finish a story in wrestling is to either retire or kill them. Like,
Isn't that kind of what WWE is doing at the moment, though, in a sense where it's not necessarily ending, it's almost like in a kind of arrested state. So a lot of the stories now are will start gearing up now towards SummerSlam, and that's the next kind of like season of stories. And then they'll take a little breather, and then they'll start gearing up then for Survivor Series slash War Games slash Triple H's kind of like, everyone get in the pool and fight for me, and then
yeah.
another breather for Christmas, and then we gear up again for WrestleMania, which includes the Royal Rumble. So in a way, could you argue that like WWE's format is almost shaping up to be kind of three mini seasons inside that year?
But it doesn't even it like it's the medium that's the word stuck in my head now is that when you had terrestrial television, people had to show up at a certain time. So there was context of how you were watching. Everything is so nexus and fluid in terms of consumption of media now that you don't really know how people are going to consume your product. And that is vital. How you watch a product. I'm fucking after getting back into anime recently because I need to fucking watch something while I'm doing midnight feeds, and I wanted something that wasn't what I'm already watching, or that I already knew. So I'm like, oh, cool, I'll jump back into anime. The context of trying to watch an anime while feeding a child, bottle feed a child at 2 o'clock in the morning versus that same child and their fucking mother and the other screaming fucker in the same room while I'm trying to watch that same episode versus me on my own watching it. The product suffers.
Hmm.
Context matters, and that's not just the context being provided by the broadcaster or the actual promotion, but how we consume it as well. And I can see there was rave reviews about a recent OTT show, and I watched it back in the VOD, and I didn't get it.
Hmm.
I just didn't get it, and I was sitting there going, "This is the best show that's happened in years." I don't fucking think so. But that was me. I like that. It's simply down to, is it me?
Hmm.
Is it I? Am I the one? Because the peak of storytelling for me in wrestling is Austin McMahon. It ran through everything. It was just this constant, constant thing. And then Austin finally bet him. And then it was like, right, we've rubber stamped that. Now moving on. But you take Austin McMahon, pretty decent storytelling, though not perfect, because it's still wrestling. I don't think wrestling could be considered storytelling because you're not telling the story, you're showcasing it.
Hmm.
It's an entirely different thing.
Well, again, that goes back to the kind of whole argument of like of broadening out the term to just to kind of to include kind of a physical display of the story. Like by that definition, you're kind of saying that like and again, I use this as a comparison. I think I said it before. It's like sometimes you get a good promo from watching musical theater, or
Oh
you
yeah.
get like you learn you learn your skills of like of oratory from watching Shakespeare. And there's always certain qualities in crossover that like I think wrestling doesn't really want to admit to in a sense. Like if wrestling was to admit that it kind of gets a lot of crossover from Greece, I think it'll kind of lose its street cred to a certain degree.
I thought you were.
Likewise, if you say, "Wow, this storyline reminds me of the Tempest," you probably get thrown out of the arena. So it's that kind of thing where it's almost like in an indirect and subtle way. So, like maybe Jamie, you mentioned there about TNA, for example, being a kind of almost like a sweet spot. And I've watched a bit of TNA, and I have to say, I kind of agree with you to a certain degree that like I think it kind of sits in the kind of the middle of that spectrum. And I think for me, its great skill is simplicity. with what it does. It's neither overcooking nor kind of dumbing down its own product. It kind of sits in the middle of those two
Like,
camps.
I completely agree. I think it has its problems, and they're not small ones, but it's pro wrestling. It's not sports entertainment. It's not wrestling nerd nirvana. It's it's pro wrestling. Um, in its kind of simplest form, because namely due to budgetary reasons, it has to be.
Hmm.
But they care if people are going to come back. They are clearly desperate for business.
Mm,
Whereas over on the elite side of things, there's this sense of this is going to continue forever.
mhm,
Shad is going to fund this until he's in the ground, and then Tony will fund it till he's gone. And there's no need for them to improve. Whereas in TNA, even in the few months I've been watching again, they've kind of tried to pivot, and while not betraying anyone, they're kind of trying to see what comes next.
mm,
Like the big obvious thing is Leon Slater,
Yeah.
and he was one day away from becoming the longest reigning X Division champion ever. I was fully convinced they were going to have Austin Aries show up to screw him
yeah,
to protect his own record. That did not happen, and instead it was a clean finish, and it
Hmm.
was a fantastic match that most people won't watch. But it was Cedric Alexander, Leon Slater.
oh,
It
tasty.
was
Cedric's
full
my man.
blown pay per view quality match, and for a while I felt like it had gone too far, and it was kind of that whole too indie-rific modern style where it was Cedric was spamming finishers
Mm,
and he just kept hitting the lumbar check, and I was like, this is ridiculous. At this point, I was convinced Leon Slater is obviously going to go over. He's going to become the longest reigning champion, and they're just doing this. And then one of them worked, and I was gobsmacked. And the reaction has been largely outrage, but I think it was brilliant. I think it was
Hmm.
really clever. They made Cedric. He
mhm,
was feeling like a bit part player in the system, and now he's the guy who beat Leon. With Leon, then you can either have him go after the world title, or if rumors are to believe he is going to go elsewhere, at which point, good, you've just helped your promotion by getting someone over.
mhm,
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that could be a kind of a major quality of it as well as momentum. As you said, like there's a certain incentive, or rather a lack of incentive for kind of the bigger companies, because we were actually having this conversation in our production meeting during the week, was that like AEW don't really want to move away from their kind of core fan base because ultimately that's what their product is intended for. Not necessarily a bad thing for the core fan base, but if you were trying to grow the brand to be something that is more sustainable, then what happens when that core fan base gets a bit alienated, or you put the title on a champion they don't like, or you put on a show that immediately stinks the place out. You're in a pretty bad state there. Whereas WWE almost are complacent in the sense where like they're so big that they don't necessarily have to put on good content anymore. They just have to put out content. And broadly speaking, that'll get them by. Like being good or bad is irrelevant to their business model. It is ultimately about sponsorships.
I
It's
really
about
feel like
money and stuff like that, you know?
I really feel like someone needs to sit them down and be like, "Yeah, you're making a lot of money now. Imagine how much money you could be making if this was good."
mhm,
Yeah, that's the other quality of it as well. Is that like as I would say, like the TNA need to be good in order to get a market share. They need to be good in order to get people to watch their product. And really, this is actually a lesson that a lot of people learn from the indie scene, is that indies only get really kind of like name credibility from being good. What separated PWG from your kind of your backwater promotions was that they were putting on a product that was unique to them, had a selling point, and ultimately were able to market themselves. The kind of the heyday of the kind of British indie wrestling scene was that like every like you had certain promotions that were all peaking at the same time, using the same talent, but in slightly different ways. So they were still islands onto themselves, which are still putting on shows that with all these kind of familiar faces, doing the same characters, but in slightly different contexts. So that was a kind of the great accomplishment there. I think another promotions, other scenes had either a kind of unique selling point to them that made them watchable. Like I was thinking of, if we're sticking to the indies, OTTs one was very much the cavalcaded characters along the way. And then every now and then a good wrestling match would break out almost by accident. But that was also part of the charm, was that like actually we're not just entertaining, we're actually quite good at this wrestling malarkey as well. Um, and while I don't think it ever fulfilled that kind of potential to be the best super indie in the world, I think it came very, very close on a booking and production standpoint pre-pandemic. Post-pandemic had been a very different story, but I think you can say that, but a lot of the indie scene has not really recovered from that sudden
There
stop
was
in their
there was some,
motions.
To,
the main crowbar to my thinking came in the form of a match recommendation of Terry Funk versus Jerry Lawler in the empty
the arena.
stadium, the empty
Brilliant.
arena.
It's a classic.
And I fucking hated it because what it was lacking was the crowd. Because that's what I was expecting. And I'm like, how is this going to work? But by the end of it, Funk is baying and crying like a little bitch. And
Mm,
I'm like, oh, I get it. This is what Roman Reigns wishes he was. It,
That match proves that you have to be exceptional to pull it off because we all saw what the Thunderdome era looked like.
mhm.
indeed. Yeah.
But it was something that I always looked at. Wrestling is a medium to engage a live audience that you then capture on film and edit and package to your televised or pay-per-view audience. And that proved blew that fucking theory out of the water because there was no fucking fans. And the fucking ongoing fucking building of the tension of the promo with Funk just and the broadcaster just stayed on it and stayed on it and stayed with him and it just worked. It just worked. And then Lawler just pissed off like, all right, bet you, fuck you. And then they can run it back and I'm like, God damn, that's it actually
But
it
I think the
led.
biggest selling point of that was that it felt like a fight. That's the whole quality of it. I think like again, wrestling's kind of great ability is to be able to both transition to this is a serious fight to this is complete nonsense and can
Mhm.
kind of get away with both. Not necessarily at the same time, but on the same show, you could have something that is a massive row and a massive scrap and something incredibly physical and bloody and gory, and then also Danhausen pops out of a time machine
Yeah.
and brings back fucking Eddie Guerrero or something. Like those two things can live in the same plane. But that's I think the great advantage of wrestling as a medium is that it can both of them are justifiably both of them are equitable in a sense. You can do both of them. Whether you are able to and whether you should, I think depends on where you what you're doing and where you are. Like there's no point doing a complete comedy thing if your entire brand, if your entire product is based on serious fighting.
Yeah.
Likewise, you can't really get away with doing serious fighting if you're being if it's a comedy show, you know, kind of way. That's why like almost being a variety show is the easiest way to go, but also the hardest because you have to be almost good in all parts for it to work.
Like if
You know.
my main kind of gave me something there. One of my favorite storylines was the Hurricane and the Rock.
Mm,
And it was all comedic and everything in the ring was comedic. Before, during, and after was comedic. The tone was matched perfectly
yeah.
because The Rock kind of lowered himself down to a much sillier level than he was used to sustaining. He would always do a bit of
Mm,
ha ha, but then get serious. And there was something I see with WWE, and especially with the bits I've seen of AEW, that there's no tone matching. If you have
mm,
take Funk and Lawler, that was serious start to fucking finish. The build up to it, the match, well, bit of a promo beforehand, the match, and then the aftermath was all connected in the right tone. That doesn't happen at the moment. You'll see a match where people will do super athletic, like really good, amazing, mild melting moves, and this is supposed to be a blood feud. I'm like, no, just punch the cunt. Like
Yep.
that's what's after clicking in my head now of what
mm.
I think is missing. Tone matching.
I think it's also down to presentation as well, because at the top of this podcast you mentioned Bray Wyatt, and his presentation is probably some of the best you'll ever see in any kind of professional wrestler out of the box. Like it's always that kind of parameter, and I think a lot of people that like actual wrestling people we've spoken to on these podcasts have said, like if you're able to just show a wrestler out of context and see if that person resonates with them, then I think that's a skill of a good that already is a good start for that individual. So the fact that like Bray Wyatt, you could almost see what that character is just from the outset, just from from your calibration point of seeing this wrestler and understanding what he's about from the entrance and the music and everything. It's the walk, it's the body language, it's the whatever poses they are doing, such and such. And then I think wrestlers have a very difficult way of doing that. But again, in a weird way, if you're the only person that is a wrestler in your ensemble, that's your niche. That's what you do. And then it's the ring side of it then that comes across. So I'm thinking Gunter would be the opposite side of that scale, where like Gunter doesn't really give you much in the entrance. He comes out in his big coat, he comes out with his big his classical music, and there's a certain level of respect there. There's a little bit of like you have to stand up and kind of applaud this man. But what he does in the ring is draw you into what he does and and pull you in and makes simple moves effective and makes them brutal makes him physical. And that's his greatest skill, is being able to actually do what a lot of wrestlers do and slow it down to a point that you have to pay attention. And some wrestlers don't do it well. I'm going to point around Randy Orton here. I think he's quite guilty of this in the past. Whereas I think Gunter gets the balance right because every move that Gunter does has power and force to it. You know, it might be the silliest move possible. What was one of the things that Finley? Remember when Finley used to do the kind of the where he basically just kind of like jump and sit on somebody with his arm with like do
Yeah,
the
yeah,
kind of the hip drop. It was like
yeah.
that looks like an incredibly silly move, but if someone does that to you, you're fucking broken ribs.
Yeah.
That's why he does it, you know.
It's the
So
the
it's that kind of
apron,
thing. It's
Finley's
Yeah,
apron spot for me. I've seen
mm,
people do it,
but
but the way he
it's
does
also
it, he's swinging through people.
yeah,
Like
exactly, yeah.
but it comes
he's
down as well to
connecting.
like it is wrestling psychology. It's not what you're doing, it's why you're doing it, it's when you're doing it, it's how
Mm,
does it fit the story that you're telling. A really good wrestler can get a pop out of a headlock.
Hmm.
Whereas I literally saw a comment about the finish to the main event at All In where they were giving out that MJF won with just a basic avalanche tombstone pile driver,
Yeah,
mm,
like get to the
which
fuck.
is an amazing oxymoron.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, oh, is that all? But it's
that's the that's the story equivalent of for have you either one of you seen Mister In Between on Disney Plus?
No, can't say
yeah,
that I have.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
good old Ray.
One of the exactly one of the best things I've watched in a while, and it really made me reevaluate action and gunplay and violence in cinema. And it was it's an art. Couldn't recommend it to you highly, Jonathan. It's literally an authorship start to
It's excellent.
finish. It is
It
a
is
one
actually excellent.
it's a one man band. It's brilliant.
Judy noticed. Judy noticed.
And when I look at the likes of I love spectacle movies. I love like Crank and Wanted. I like I like stuff where you fully have to park your brain and I just go, you know what? Fuck it. You can bend bullets. You know what?
Ah,
This fella's heart is going to explode and he's going to shove jumper cables on his nipples.
the
Yes.
Fast and Furious effect.
Exactly. But like there was I can't remember the name of it, but there was a film and it was essentially all point of view.
Mm.
It was all POV. I cannot remember the name of it for the
Player
life of
One.
me. No,
But
I can't remember it offhand. Could well be, but it was just something that I love. I can forgive spectacle in movies.
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry is exactly it. I can look at Hardcore Henry, and then also one of the worst movies I have ever seen, Elizabethtown, with fucking Orlando Bloom. God awful film, but I adored it because they don't break tone.
Mm.
That's where I find stuff that just, if I invest in something and I fully commit to your story or your match or your promo, and then after the promo you're advertising Snickers, I'm like, you fucking cunts. And like Bray Wyatt never got his fair due because the commentators didn't know how to commentate for him. He was always spooky, spooky, spooky. I'm like, he's more than that though.
Hmm.
You really gotta, no one ever rose to his level. And it's going to be another 20 years before there's even an opportunity to do so. Because he was ahead of his time. But by right, you kind of have to be of your time. That's
Yeah,
the
I think
game.
that's a big quality of it as well, because I think the reason why like the mythos was able to be built about someone, let's use The Undertaker as a point of reference because you mentioned kind of spooky people before. Like the idea of The Undertaker kind of grew from the fact that like, okay, as a character, it's a goofy character, but it's a purpose. It's a caricature of the old, like tall, like man of mystery from a country western. That is ultimately the kind of the spec that they went with. But a few other kind of things kind of came into it because the Undertaker character wouldn't have lasted through the kind of the very gimmicky part of the era of WWF unless it had the right person playing it. It's almost like like some of it is down to like almost the actor playing the role as well. Like certain actors do not match the roles that they're in, so therefore they don't have any longevity. You know, ask Amy about the various kind of guises of Batman, and she'll give you an hour long podcast in of itself. But certain people work as Batman and some people don't, and there's an argument there that like some people work better as Bruce Wayne than actual Batman and vice versa.
Yep.
So there's this balance there in that sense. Undertaker doesn't really work unless Mark Calloway is playing the character, and Mark Calloway throws in his elements as well, which is his wrestling side of it. The fact that he's able to vault across and do something that someone of his size should not be able to do. But the reason he can is because he comes from a basketball background, therefore he has the athleticism to back it up. But he uses this random, he uses it in a very sensible way that it's not just his thing. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't win with old school. He doesn't win with this kind of vaulting leap every now and then. But when you see it happen, it's noteworthy. It's like, oh shit, that's just happened. It's not the be all
It's
and
the
end all. It's this familiarity that also helps as well, knowing
it's
that
not like
like this
his
person is able to do these things.
like his to, to take a single. Oh, here's a fucking comparison. To take the old school move
Mm,
from the Undertaker as now being used by Ricky Saints, as
mm,
was, I will say, expertly applied by Angel Cruz.
yeah,
Same move, same scene, different genres.
and done totally differently as
Yeah.
well. Like one's totally serious of like, holy fuck, this guy shouldn't be doing this, and this guy needs two teenagers to balance him.
Yeah.
Comedic genius.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's something that same in the same way you take the actor comparison
mm,
of Keanu Reeves, of John Wick and The Matrix. Both wildly different,
mm.
but yeah, bang bang, kicky kicky. Yeah, we all agree. There's not much difference. Bit of kicking, bit of shooting. Yeah, one of them had more kicking than shooting. There you go. But it's entirely different, received entirely differently, regardless of
Mm.
timing. But even with John Wick, was far more a personal experience because more people that I know that watch it didn't watch it in the cinema. It was small screen. It was laptops.
Mm.
It was found through other means. Um, whereas Matrix was a movie
Yeah, but
in the
even
traditional
aside
sense.
from the medium,
Yeah,
like sci-fi epic versus personal revenge tale is always going to be one's going to be more
yeah.
visceral because of the story they're telling.
But there's no. But take the Undertaker then. Spooky zombie
Mm,
versus American Badass.
mm,
Mm.
We all know which one we prefer.
But there's a context to that because the overall like environment that that person is working in has changed dramatically from that time. So like being a spooky zombie is not going to work in a time where everything has gotten into gritty hyper realism, which is what the Attitude Era was. Likewise, he couldn't do the American Badass back at a time where everything kind of went into a back of a bit of a super kayfabe. People are going wanted to see the original Undertaker because that was essentially the not necessarily the niche in the market is the wrong word to use, but there's a kind of a there was a familiarity with seeing that character do the same thing every year.
Mm.
a constant, if you like, that a lot of people wanted. And yeah, for all the purposes, it's a glorified nostalgia act, but it's a nostalgia act that you can use in a sense, where like it was used to be able to build stars up, and ultimately didn't really work out as intended because a lot of those stars didn't really resonate as they were hoping. But the principle was sound enough. Likewise, a lot of the people like rest that we think now are kind of like still in their kind of prime, their nostalgia loop will still kind of come and go. Like John Cena was in the last year. John Cena's year was essentially his greatest hits. He was kind of telling it in a fairly kind of smart sense of like roundabout way. So he wanted to put people over. There's people you want to work with and stuff like that. So you think it's fair. One kind of X factor I want to kind of throw into this conversation about this whole storytelling aspect, because when you're talking about mediums and you're talking about kind of the way kind of stuff kind of fits in, one of the anomalies I started thinking of was Lucha Underground, because it kind of went in a direction that a lot of like wrestling doesn't necessarily do as a starting off point, which is to basically kind of treat itself as a work of fiction. So what you're seeing in front of you is essentially is actually a pre-produced product. So
Mhm.
what everything that is that you're kind of entering into the kayfabe world on a different level, but which also kind of gave it a little bit more creative freedom where it could do stuff like, oh, this guy just got shot dead, or this guy
Mhm.
got like sacrificed on an altar and all this sort of stuff. It was a different way of doing things. Do you think there's something there something in there where you could like it was Lucha Underground kind of worked at the right time because all the other kind of things that were out there was just a little bit more of the same, where that was so out into a different direction that it almost worked by itself. And likewise, it's something that no one else could really do because they've already done that bit.
Lucha Underground was perfect tone matching. When you have, I mean, my knowledge of it is terrible, so my recall isn't going to be as good. But
Mm,
when you have someone saying this belt was forged by the gold of the Aztecs and is imbued with the power of ancient gods, and
mm,
everyone goes, all the wrestlers go, cool, no bother, we'll all honor that. Commentary will honor that. The fans don't need to buy in because everyone else has.
exactly,
Lucha
yeah.
Underground bought in to its own lore that you just kind of went, all right, fucking cool. You fight for that.
I think the reason that Lucha Underground worked was because it was Lucha Underground.
Mm,
And for the produced segments, not only did they have Robert Rodriguez, which, that helped, but it leaned in on the telenova aspect.
Mhm.
That the reason it thematically fit was because it was all still of the same cultural identity. It was
mm,
okay to go over the top because it hits, it fits the product.
Okay.
Um, I also think, to the prior conversation, just before we move away from it, that an element of storytelling that absolutely needs to be hit on is motivation from the actual wrestler.
mm,
And it kind of fits in with them being kind of like actors playing roles or just even people in a match.
Yeah.
But there is a big difference. And it's one of the things that's actually drawn me to TNA. It was evident actually in Lucha Underground when they were trying to get the concept going, and it's evident when it's not there. And it's when the individual in the ring is motivated and wants to get their stuff over, when they have something to prove. A lot of
mm,
people in TNA have that because it is not one of the two big companies, and people want to show what they're capable of. They want to show that it was either a mistake that they were let go from either place, or they want to get their shot at either place on their way up. By contrast, Okada in the
Yeah.
match with Takeshita looked bored, pulled off.
I'm literally watching it as we're speaking. Would you believe us? So I actually do have a kind of
Yeah,
a reference to what you're
there's
talking about
point
there.
of reference. Looks
Yeah.
bored, pulls off stunning athletic moves, looks bored.
Mm,
His interest in the belt at the end of the match is also quite interesting in that he loses it. Not the belt, the interest.
yeah.
Um, he doesn't care. He's getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
Um, and he's just there to fulfill that role. And some people like that, but I think there's something missing. I think there's an inherent lack of storytelling when you take that approach. I think,
Yeah.
and
I think that's true. Yeah.
it's not just there because you can see it on the other side of the fence too when people are not motivated. Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't cared in 7 years. That man
Mm.
wants to surf and get paid. there's various other talents up and down the card who have various levels of motivation, but you can always tell the difference.
Mm.
I my recent I've caught a clip of Division versus the Street Profits, and I saw Montez Ford just meaning everything he was doing. Move wise, okay, I didn't found it matched, but I never don't believe him when he's there. And then I saw Angelo Dawkins on the ring apron in sparkly basketball shorts, and he just didn't look happy to be there, or determined, or angry, or focused. And it was just that literally like a 20-second clip of them just showing the flippy do. And I went, oh, wow. And he drew my eye like, oh, you're just not there. Just in that moment. And probably in the greater context of the match, it didn't matter. But it was just so blatantly obvious to me that, wow, that's where my eye got drawn. And if that's the genuine the comparison of Okada, of just like, it's all, look, wrestling's bullshit. Storytelling is bullshit. Movies are bullshit. It's all bullshit. Life is bullshit. Nihilism. But I tend to lean into existentialism because, ha ha, fucking come on. Why not?
Mm.
And I just don't, when I see, uh, I take LJ Cleary as an example of someone who I always want to see do well, and no one is on his level that he just had to run away. There's no one to match him in the way that he does things. The wrestling is so interesting in that it requires 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 people to the booker, the wrestlers, and the ref.
Mm.
You can argue then maybe commentary if it's televisual, then obviously the crew, ring crew, everything like that, and cameramen. So you're into like 10 people to make a story work when realistically the simplest version of fucking stories is a cunt talking. Um, So I don't know if wrestling gets in its own way sometimes because everything there's so many it's a domino effect of everything having to work, and
Mm.
and Bray Wyatt's my example. So much of what he did was perfect that when it wasn't, it really fucking hurt,
Yeah.
as is evident the Hell in a Cell match,
Mm.
you know, and it fucking hurts to watch and be bought in. And I love spooky bullshit, and I'm still annoyed by that, still pissed off by that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I think that's something we're going to pursue in our second half of our show because we can kind of take that attention then to stuff that what's going on at the moment and seeing what's lacking and what actually, well, truth be told,
Actually,
what we will be enjoying and what's lacking. So go ahead, Jimmy. There, sorry.
just to kind of bookend it, the way you were talking about
Mm.
like wrestling having like kind of different genres, and the fact that Bray Wyatt was this creative genius that transcended pro wrestling with the character he created, and his genre was horror. I would
Mm.
argue that in a very, very similar vein, but with the genre of comedy, you have Danhausen,
yeah,
Yeah.
who nearly doesn't belong in pro wrestling, but has created this character that's infinitely watchable.
yeah. Oh, he's my fucking favorite boy. Everybody loved that Danhausen and give him your human monies. But
Mm.
thereby, he has it. There's something Pavlovian about wrestling. When you say Danhausen, you automatically think very nice, very evil.
Very evil. Yeah.
When you think Austin, you automatically say hell yeah. Like there's these things that, because whatever you're trying to get out of someone, ultimately to get, fuck it, we're going highbrow. Comedy and drama, they're your two stories, and not comedy, haha, comedy in the actual like catharsis of like the actual like positive and negative aspects of storytelling, where you either want your audience to feel relieved or horrified by the end. It's either a good story or a bad story. The good guys win or the bad guys win. That is it. That is fucking storytelling. As simple and layman as I could try and bring it. So when wrestling is able to do that, I would argue better than any other medium. And yet, right now, no product is doing it well.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair.
Fascinating.
That's fair.
It's
Yeah.
fucking
Fans,
it's baffling, you know.
fa- fans inherently want to suspend their disbelief, and it all just comes down to conflict. And
Yeah.
if they can believe that the conflict is real, do these people want to settle this physically in effect?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Like
more often than not,
I'd buy into AEW more if their commentary wasn't dog shit.
Tony Schiavone, and this isn't an AEW thing because I've been saying this since AEW didn't exist and he was the announcer from the 90s in WCW. Tony Schiavone is the worst play-by-play commentator in mainstream wrestling and has been for his entire career. He's awful. I prefer
Yeah.
Excalibur to him, and I find Excalibur ridiculously
Yeah.
annoying. Nigel
And
McGuinness should be on every show they do. He
he's
is
brilliant.
fantastic.
He
Just
was,
to give a positive.
and he was even able to. You saw the spot recently of him doing the commentary during the match. Then the opponent shows up, and then the ref showed up. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I love it. This is great.
Oh, AEW commentary, Jim Ross is a legend among legends. The man is one of the greatest to ever do it, and he can still call a match.
Mhm.
Proficiently, he can call what's going on in that ring, and it's not a problem to him. But by God, does he display he doesn't care who they are.
Nope.
The amount of times he called Kyle O'Reilly kid
Yeah.
when Kyle O'Reilly is 40 years of age was
Well, to be
glorious.
fair, like Jim Ross is a senior, so I think everyone to him is kid, especially when he doesn't know the name.
It
Always
was wonderful
helpful.
that the lads kept trying to bring him around. And he was like, okay, yeah, this is such a big opportunity for him. It's the biggest match of his career. It's like, he's the
Yeah,
favorite. He gets knocked out twice before.
exactly. Yeah, you might want to
But
read your notes there, Jim. Okay
good
then.
time.
So we're gonna take a break from all the intellectualism here and go a little bit daft for a while because
Oh, thank
we
God. I was hot. It's like holding in
I
a
know
fart in
I'm
church.
giving you
Like,
a break. I'm
fuck
giving
me.
you a break, Brian. I'm giving you a break
Ah,
because
thank you.
yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna go for a double round of creative control.
Ooh.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? A cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm a cult of personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy.
New world order.
And the cult of personality. The cult of personality. The cult of personality.
Yes, so if you're not familiar with the show, as you are seeing with if you're currently on YouTube and you're watching the YouTube version, we have our Mirror Universe, which is quite literally our universe mode from our WWE game of choice. This is 2K25 in case you're wondering, because I am too bored and I don't have the time to set it up again in 2K26. So we're going again after WrestleMania, and we have ourselves a couple of pay-per-views in the meantime. A little bit of housekeeping, because obviously there was a lot of caveats coming from WrestleMania, so we've had a few roster changes. Some that were prescribed by our lovely people here. So, as I believe it was yourself, Jamie, and Brian, actually the two of you here, wanted, which was Drew McIntyre leaving NXT to go to SmackDown, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven also going to SmackDown from NXT. Aaron's caveat from the most overbooked main event since WrestleMania 2000, ironically enough, also a Fatal 4-Way, was that Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa leaving. They're very much like being kicked out of Raw to go to NXT and complete the bloodline down in alleged developmental. And also the other caveat that you included, Jamie, as well, was Edge and Christian leaving AEW to join SmackDown, which they have done so.
Excellent.
So that's a lot of people going to SmackDown, and that's a lot of people leaving Raw. So I balance the books. So two changes to the SmackDown roster, leaving and joining Raw, are Naomi and Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
So those are the two changes.
A fantastic tag team. Let's
Indeed. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, obviously, because it has been a few weeks since we've done a show, we've done a little bit of a catch up on some of the shows that we have missed, and there's very little going on in the universe mode at the moment. There's a few number one contender stuff being sorted out. We are heading towards a Swerve Strickland and Brody King battle for the AEW World Championship on on Dynamite. Impact looks like we're still going with Cesaro and Nick Nemeth as the main event. Looks like one match wasn't good enough, so we're just going to roll back.
Jolly good.
A few other bits and pieces happening as well. We have a nice little feud between Gunther and Karrion Cross brewing, which we will get to shortly.
Wow.
Yes.
I
So-
could talk fucking hours on end about what fucking Killer Cross is doing. God damn.
Indeed.
That-
Indeed.
yeah.
He is
Whereas
excellent.
Whereas on the likes of NXT, looks like it's Samoa Joe and Ethan Page setting up for the next NXT special there as well. So more on that
What's wrong with that?
when we get to one. But our first pay-per-view that we're going to go to is Backlash, which, as we know, came from Tampa in the real world. But because of 2K25, it's in France again. So let's go with that because the European crowds are substantially better, and that's a story for another podcast. So, as always, I've given a 7-match card for you guys to ruminate on and to try and guess the correct results on for a point of creative control. So I shall start with the opening contest, which was for the Intercontinental
sorry.
title.
Sorry, just before we move on from that, can I just point out, you've cracked it. It's a 7-match card, and that is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
WWE
exactly.
does 4 or 5, it's not enough. AEW does 12 to 14. It's too many. Middle
I've-
ground.
Let the record show, even in the future wrestling, I have always stuck to a 7 or 8-match card. Like I do 8 matches for the final show of the year, and it's always been 7 for pay-per-views. Even the main shows have 7 matches. I've always stuck to that formula because I am a fucking creature of habit and I love copy and pasting. Hey, whatever works. That's all I'm saying. Hire me for booking your shows. So our opening contest for Backlash, let's not say Leon. Let's just say somewhere different, like fucking Marseille or something. For the Intercontinental title, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed.
Okay.
Who's champ?
Seth Rollins.
Okay. Just because I've seemingly decided to despise him anytime I speak, fuck Seth Rollins.
That is your gimmick
I'll-
now, Brian. Fair play.
Apparently, yeah.
Brave choice, I have to say.
I'll take Seth. I'll take Seth as the winner of that.
Okay, so we have a split already. So Brian's going for Bronson Reed and Jamie's going for Seth Rollins. And the Intercontinental Champion has retained on this occasion against Bronson Reed. So Jamie is 1-up to start off our round.
Yes.
And switching from the men's to the women's, it's now also an Intercontinental title match, this time on the submission rules. The defending champion Natalia against Ivy Nile.
Hmm.
It has to be Natalia, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I would also hope for Natalia.
I don't know who I.
And you are both correct. Natalia does retain
Yay.
against Ivy Nile. Lovely stuff there.
Excellent.
Yes. So, I have a bit of a tag team action here for you, and a bit of brand warfare, no less, because this is a Raw versus SmackDown match. We have the team of the Judgment Day, Dom Mysterio, Finn Balor, JD McDonough versus CM Punk, and the returning Edge and Christian.
They're gonna win. Fuck
Jesus.
off.
Yeah,
Of course, they're gonna win.
yeah. I'm going Edge.
we're both
Christian
going for
and
the-
Punk.
Yeah.
Edge, Christian, and Punk. Fair enough. The correct answer actually was the Judgment Day.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Judgment Day won this match.
I mean, hooray! Ole, 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 ole.
It's
Well-
ironic, but it's rare that Finn Balor is like on the younger side of things.
Ha.
Here we are.
And yeah,
there you
he
go.
is
Yeah.
fucking. He is ageless and body fatless.
Yes.
Well, that's true.
Stiff.
It's like when someone in their 30s goes to the Italian league and they realize that they're one of the youngest people in the team.
I just have to at all times when referring to Finn Balor, let everyone know that I refer to him as stupid, sexy Fergal.
Hmm.
So there you go.
To be fair, that's what people call him at home anyway, so that still
Yeah.
tracks. So it's fair enough. Um, so next up then, sticking with the Judgment Day, for they are defending their women's tag team titles, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez against Asuka and Kairi Sane.
Come on, ask Kyrie saying. Have to.
Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And the Judgment Day retain.
Fuckers. Bastards.
Yes.
Fucking fake emo pricks.
They are they don't really know what they are at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, actually.
If we're being perfectly frank there. So yes, 3-1 to Jamie as things stand. Next up then, sticking with the women. The women's championship match between the defending champion Becky Lynch and Michelle McCool, with Alex Windsor as a special guest referee.
I cannot, in good conscience, pick Michelle McCool. I'm Becky. I can't.
Yeah, for the sake of all that is good and holy, please let it be Becky Lynch.
To be fair, I think if you ever went against Becky Lynch, I think that fella from the Michael Collins movie would write you down in his little notebook. So I think it's probably a good thing you didn't. And you were right as well. Becky Lynch did retain against Michelle McCool, and hopefully that is the end of their fucking storyline.
I
Proof
watched.
the Taker is booking AAA and not SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of your man who did 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway first, and he did an interview with CVV. He did it with, and it was just lovely. It was just it was Maven. Apologies, it was Maven, the other wrestling YouTuber.
Yes.
And it was such a lovely conversation, and he spoke very he actually humanized Michelle McCool, so the joke's not fucking funny anymore. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, as the theme song said, sometimes you're just not enough for her. So it's the
I have no
part of the
doubt
problem,
she's
really.
a lovely person, but she's not a wrestling legend.
No.
And she's a bit too Jesus-y for me, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like every time she talked to me, she try and baptize me, and I think that's a bit weird. Yeah, so no, not for me, Clive. Next up then, no holds barred.
Okay.
Gunter versus Karrion Kross.
Oh, you cunt. You fucking unbelievable sleeved bastard.
You're welcome, Brian.
I know, it is difficult. This is Sophie's choice. I fucking love Cross. Come on. Go Cross.
You're going for Karrion Kross?
My heart says Cross, but my head says Gunther.
Yeah. But my body's telling me yes.
You should have listened to your head, because Gunter won this match.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And seeing that Jamie has walked away with this one so far, I'll end with the main event. World Heavyweight Championship, almost, with MVP in his corner, versus Cody Rhodes.
I'm losing. Almost. Go for it.
I think Cody.
Well, not for the first time on this universe. None of the champions have lost their belts. Almost retains the World Heavyweight Championship.
Fantastic. I'm starting to get behind him in this push.
What a weird and wonderful world we live in. Like, the Hurt Syndicate really has just is holding Raw to ransom. It's fascinating.
The caveat: you didn't say which version of Cody showed up. I think Raheem took the day off.
That's true. That's true. I don't think he do his brethren like that. He doesn't want to lose his cookout vouchers. In fairness, so it's only fair.
I can hear the cancellation klaxon ringing. Ooh.
Do you feel him, sir? So Jamie, you get the first point of creative control, and we'll switch then to the much abridged and much simplified Double or Nothing card in the Mirror Universe as well. only the 7 matches on the card, lads. If you want to watch the rest of the other 7, you have to subscribe to Amazon Prime. So starting off then, for the women's title, the defending champion Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné.
Tony.
Monet.
And Brian, you're off the mark. Toni Storm
Yay.
retained her women's championship.
Fuck you.
And sticking with the women, this time for the TBS championship, no holds barred, Marina Shafir versus Athena.
Oh, I love Athena. Yeah.
Yeah,
Athena.
Yeah.
We're going for Athena. Okay, interesting.
Well.
Yeah,
So
that's
really
fair.
hate herself.
Yeah.
Marina's a problem.
She is a problem, but unfortunately, she still insists upon being the TBS champion. So Shafir retains against Athena
Oh,
on this one.
Cool.
Yes. Um, Next one now I think is interesting. I don't think this is a match that AEW have done yet, and they really should. It's a good matchup. Under hardcore rules, MJF versus Hangman Adam Page.
I like you too much to insult you,
fair
Jonathan.
enough.
Can I just say I don't fucking care? I'm abdicating.
Like the record show, you are obliged to choose somebody here.
Cool. Okay, you're
And
forcing
they're
my
not the
hand.
real people. They are analogs. They are
Okay,
not the real people.
I'll go with my family member.
Okay,
Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Yeah.
very well.
I hate MJF less than Paige. I know the wrestling industry lost.
That's true.
Go on.
Yep. All right, then you
I'll
both
go
went for
with
MJF,
MJF.
and you were correct. MJF did win this match against Hangman. So there you go.
Good old cousin Friedman.
Indeed. Next up, then, for the international title, and this has been a feud that has been brewing on Dynamite Weekly, Kazuchika Okada versus Jack Perry.
Fuck Jack Perry.
Oh,
All the way up and down a backyard with a rusty fucking screwdriver. Okada.
you see, Okada really annoyed me, but you picked the one person who I find more insufferable.
Oh, I
It's a
wouldn't mind
race to the fucking bottom.
the promo
Um,
off alone. Cry me a river, bitch. It's awful.
Bitch.
I,
Fucking Jack Perry.
yeah. Let's go with Okada.
You're both going for Okada anyway, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't like Jack Perry now,
Wow.
you're not going to like him as international champion because Jack Perry
Wow.
defeated Kazuchika Okada.
I don't think you're like morally allowed to say that out loud. Holy fuck.
Yeah, well, I might have to edit that in post because it's
Yeah, you have to.
convene
You know
the
what?
wrestling
Actually,
convention.
for pure comedy's sake, can you bleep that? If you
I
feel
can,
like it, could you?
I can
Bleep
censor
it?
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could. So, Jack Perry beep. Can't say that he won. He can't be proven that he won in the court of law.
Oh wow.
Next up, then we have a bit of gang warfare because it's the closest way I could get the Stadium Stampede. It is It is an 8-man tag match.
Okay.
On one corner, John Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Pac, and Hook versus Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander, and Kenny Omega.
I'll go with the Blackpool Bingo Club.
Yep, you're gonna go for BCC.
Yeah.
I actually like Josh Alexander, and Hook is the fact that he's still employed is just shocking. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the others.
You're gonna go with the Don Callis family, and you were right to do so, Jamie, because Don Callis family won this similar but legally distinct Stadium Stampede. So we're down to 2 more matches. Next up, then,
the arena skirmish.
exactly, yeah. To be fair, it's probably no different to the actual Stadium Stampede, where it didn't go anywhere near the fucking stadium, because of rules, hilariously. Next up, then, for the TNT Championship, the defending champion Konosuke Takeshita versus Lexus King, of course, formerly known as Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah,
The fuck? You fucking threw me there. Takeshita.
I'll take King Pillman Jr.
Yeah.
You're gonna go for King Pillman Jr. Interesting. Well, I don't know if you repeated my notes, Jamie, but that was a divine shout because Lexus King is the new TNT champion.
Wonderful stuff.
Jiminy
So you have overtaken Brian in the matter of 2 matches to take the lead going into the main event. And and indeed the main event is a ladder match for the AEW World Champion, the defending champion Brody King versus Swerve Strickland.
Oh damn!
Give me Brody.
You're going to go for Brody, okay?
Just by right, for want of tying it up, I'll go with Swerve. Yeah.
And we have a new AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland. So Brody King was only in charge for about 6 weeks, which is a long time in AEW, in fairness to his credit. But yeah, there you go. So 3 apiece, and that is your. You're gonna have to share your last bit of creative control. But Jamie, we'll come back to you for your first full one. So, have you got anything you would like to run in this little sandbox of ours?
Ooh. What where did the Dudley boys end up?
They're on Raw at the moment.
Killed them.
What? No, SummerSlam isn't coming up yet.
No, there will still be a bit away. But the next pay-per-view on the WWE calendar that they have would be Clash in Paris or Clash in Europe somewhere.
Yeah, like they just stayed there after.
Clash in Wales. Fuck
Clash-
it. I've decided. Clash in Cardiff. Fuck the
Clash
bodies.
with better audience.
Yes.
Clash with ambience.
Oh, we do have a Slammiversary coming up.
Slammiversary is the next TNA pay-per-view, and we already have agreed that AJ Styles will be returning on that show.
Nice.
Excellent.
Have him fight Effie.
I'm going to up the returns TNA, and I'm going to send Josh Alexander back.
Ooh.
And free.
Okay, so Josh Alexander is going, and do you want to happen at Slammiversary or do you want to happen before?
Yep. No, at Slammiversary would be great.
Excellent.
You know, try and
And not in the King of the Mountain match, I presume. Just otherwise.
No,
Yeah.
just a return.
Awesome. Okay then, and then it's a bit of a shared kind of point between you then. So you're gonna have to workshop something between the two of you here. What would both of you actually? Do you know what? Is when we have a draw here, I think that's a fair way to do it. Both of you pick a. Let's pick a brand here, right? So the next major pay-per-view on the calendar will be Slammiversary. So let's keep it TNA themed.
Cool.
Both of you pick a wrestler that will be on the TNA roster. I'll advise if there's someone that is or isn't there, and that will be a feud going into Slammiversary.
All right.
That's another way of dealing with draws, I think, especially
All
with
right.
two people.
Just canonically, I wanted to say what's Aaron's brand and how can we fuck it, but okay, fine.
Well, it's NXT, and let's be fair, he's been doing a stand-up job about making his own brand top-heavy. So it's let nature take its course on that one, I think.
Okay. In the interest of what we've been talking about, Jamie, what is your favorite style of wrestler?
Oh, that's you can't do that though.
Yes, I can.
It depends on the story. It depends on the situation.
All right, cool. Right. To counterpoint that, I want to pick the most comedic wrestler available on that roster.
I would probably have to check to see who kind of fits that bill, but it would be, I suppose it would be the kind of either the inspiration or at the kind of elegance brand.
Yes.
Okay, so we can do either one of them, yeah.
I know what all of those words mean, and yet don't have context for them.
Well, you'd remember the inspiration for being the Iconics.
There we go.
Inspiration or the Iconics.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yes, I'll
Dana
pick them.
The elegance one.
Okay, so you want to go for the inspiration, okay? So we're having a feud with the inspiration, yeah?
Yeah.
So Jamie, you get to throw in the second half of that equation.
In my head, I have them.
Do we have a list of the tag GrapsWatch rundown? Bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
My
list of women's tag teams.
it's a bit thin on the ground in fairness, so it probably could be a little bit of a kit bash
I,
from the knockouts that are there already. But
I'm
there's
gonna
plenty of knockouts in fairness. So
I'm gonna say something that might be sacrilege. Intergender.
Nah,
Ah, I
let's see
just
who we
like
have.
the
So
nah.
I like the
I'll,
idea of them just annoying some gruff fucking brawler for weeks.
I'll Well, let's see who we have, right? So I'll call out some of the knockouts that are on the brand here, according to my list. So we
Yes,
would
please.
have Cora Jade, we have Fallon Henley, B-Fab, Hardy Hudson, obviously the Elegance brand, Heather and Ash by Elegance, Indy Hartwell, Jay-Z Jane, Jakara Jackson. Uh, we have the tag team champions at the moment are Kalani Johnson and Kiana James. Then we would have Rosemary.
Kiana
We have
James and
Sonya
who?
Deville. What's that?
Kiana James and who?
Kiana James and Kalani Johnson.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then we got Sonya Deville, Steph Delander, Tegan Knox, and Tessa Blanchard. And Wendy Chu is also there as well.
Yeah. Sure, give. Let's see the Iconics get the tag title shot at Slammiversary.
Okay.
Yay!
All right then. And that's our second spell of of inspiration there. So, if you pardon the pun.
That I
Excellent.
fully appreciate a Dungeons and Dragons reference.
Always. Okay then. So that's our creative control done. So right then. So going back to what we were talking about then. Oh,
Oh,
Jamie's had inspiration. Quite
can
literally.
I retroact? Can I retroactively change my first one?
You can if you want to.
Instead of sending Josh Alexander, because AEW has its roster,
Mm.
can I take from the top heavy NXT
Go for it.
and send Samoa Joe home to TNA?
Ooh, we can certainly try. He would have to drop the title in order to do so because he's the current NXT
Will
champion.
he? Considering the real life NXT TNA crossover.
Well, indeed, that is a very, very fair point. But we can certainly try. I think NXT will have a special before Slammiversary, so we can certainly see how that goes from
Okay.
there. So, or at the very least, I will schedule one just in case. Um,
Excellent.
so we'll do that then. So Samoa Joe going home to TNA along with AJ Styles. That's gonna be.
Yeah.
I can actually hear Kieran saying thank you for giving me some main eventers. So. So yes, going back to what we were talking about anyway in the first half of our show, and we won't we kind of covered a lot of ground in the first half anyway, so we won't bore everyone with a kind of recap of the details. Let's talk about what we're actually interested in at the moment in the wrestling sphere, just kind of based on the discussion that we were having already. So I don't know if I'm talking for the group here or maybe this is just for my own kind of like preferences and stuff like that. But I have found what they're doing in AAA at the moment with the El Grande Americanos absolutely captivating. Um, and in a way, I think what's captivating about it is that it's so very simple. It's just a lot of the it's in a weird way, I think wrestling is at its best when it is at its most straightforward. Like you have two people, essentially, a hero and a villain, both pretending to be the same character, essentially.
The same fake
Um,
Mexican.
same fake Mexican. And yet the layers that have kind of grown
Yeah.
because of the people that are playing those characters. And I think again it goes back, we kind of touched on that a little bit with ironic enough with The Undertaker, that like the Undertaker character doesn't really work without the Mark Calloway aspect of the equation. So now we have two El Grande Americanos, both played very different, very, very differently by two very different people, and yet both of them were working as intended. One is a pure hero and one is a pure villain, all by presentation, all by aesthetic, and all by buy-in to the promotion and to the scene. Ludwig Kaiser has very much not only like absorbed himself into Mexican wrestling, I think he's actually become Mexican wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, like he is
Which
machismo. He is the kind of he is the kind of like pastel suited kind of like man of the people that Mexican wrestling is probably hasn't had in a generation. Which is fascinating. And again, he speaks fantastic Spanish, which really helps. Um, even with it is with a German twang. But even the fact that his real life is kind of seeped into this as well. Not only has he kicked the shit out of somebody for trying to call ice on his missus, which, to be fair, I fully endorse, and quite frankly, I think that cunt got away lucky.
Points all
Um,
around.
Points all around. But at the same token, like it's fascinating how buy-in has really become a big part of that kind of aspect. Like I want to see that fight, even though I haven't watched a spit of a AAA in my life. But I am tuning in to watch that match. I will probably watch Triple Mania off the back of this El Grande Americano derby. So is there anything that you guys have yourselves that you're really bought into and you want to see more of? And then we can go to the other side of that coin then after that chat.
I'm
So,
very much bought into the local scene at the moment. I quite selfishly and cynically, I have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on Irish wrestling and specifically OTT. And they are going to finalize all of their outstanding angles and rivalries, and they get to do a reset. At which point, I'm hoping to pick up a pen and send in some fucking pitches, legitimately. That's what has me quite selfishly excited. That I'm like, yeah, literally the point of conversation is literally me quite selfishly trying to stretch my fucking legs and pick the two of your brains. Great fucking illuminaries and storytellers and wrestling aficionados that you are. I have quite, to borrow of Joe Cabrera's actual wrestling group at the moment, Machiavelli style guinea pigged my ideas onto this podcast as a matter of record. But that's what I'm really excited about is the unlimited potential of what could happen in OTT right now.
Okay. And is there one particular kind of like you said that the stories are kind of reset now, so it's almost obviously quite kind of positioning yourself for this new kind of potential kind of little reformat in the Button Factory and onwards. Is there one in particular that you're one person that in particular that you're very intrigued by to see what's next, or is it just the overall kind of roster?
There is potential to ignite without saying much and saying nothing and everything at the same time. There's potential to put real fire into a specific division. That if I'm right and if I've listened to the whispers and the mumbles of people, I've made a connection of something that will happen. If that happens, we could be off to the races in terms of a specific championship division.
Okay.
And that's what I'm really, really excited about.
Okay, fair enough. How about yourself, Jamie?
I've been thoroughly enjoying TNA. I do also have to completely agree with you about the El Grande Americano thing. The angle from a couple of weeks ago where El Grande Original was threatening the ring announcer.
Yes.
And the run-in, and the most realistic brawl I have seen in the confines of pro wrestling in years.
It by far and away the best one I've seen in perhaps ever. Like it was just done perfectly.
They're completely committed to it. It is excellent work being done. Even the unmasking of Rayo Americano and like Tyler Bates' chin was out. It was very clear, but at the same time, like everyone was buying in. We're like, no, we don't want that.
I think there was Octagon Junior was unmasked like just on the same night of that as well. So like so Chad was getting like maximum heat just based off that alone. It was unbelievable. Like just again, it helps when you have the audience there that just would immediately buy it and be so feral for anything you're giving them. You know, it's incredible.
There was something Shane O'Keefe had said, which was it's literally the wrestler's job to do that. As much as we can complain about a fan base, not showing up or being cynical or too learned or nerdy or fucking just self-aggrandizing smarky fuckers in the basement. Ask anyone. What do you think of the Americano stuff right now? Oh, yeah. Fascinating that it's fucking Calloway that's over all of it, and he's Mr. fucking kayfabe,
Mm.
which I hope maybe will breed elsewhere.
Because
Um,
it is kayfabe
yeah,
in its
but
purest sense.
yeah, and there's nothing like when I saw the memes going around about Americano 100 years ago, I'm like, and the people photoshopping them in, and I'm like, they're onto something because it's not in posters anymore; it's in memes.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're hitting a vein. And that specific run in of them just leathering into each other, and then seeing an offensive German suplex look like a
Mm.
fucking gunshot. Be like, oh, I forgot that move is supposed to look like it fucking kills you. And you
Yes,
don't roll
exactly.
through and hit 3 fucking super kicks off it. It was just like,
They sold it.
yeah. It's almost like it's like good storytelling in professional wrestling. And that package they did of the comic book flicking over and really bringing the context of it. And then the chain, because there's loads of bits in Spanish. And I'm looking at it I'm reading the captions. And then they switched over to English. And I'm like, nah, fuck off. Talk Spanish. That's better. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like watching an anime dubbed. Sometimes
mm,
you want to listen to just read the subs and listen to the
the,
original
la-
voice acting.
the last time I saw something like that, actually, New Japan has a bit of it as well. The Japanese, no one calls a finishing move like a Japanese commentator.
Mm.
And the last time I saw something in that context was when the first season of Squid Games. So you either watch Squid Games with the dub or the sub. And I'm
Mm.
like, I tried listening to the English dub, and I'm like, it doesn't have the weight to it. And then I listened to it in Korean, and they're talking. I'm like, no idea what the fuck you're saying. How? But yeah, I hope you win. And then I remember you can put subtitles on. But that's where wrestling nearly AEW certainly needs subtitles. You know, when you hit that fucking weird fucking Tiger Driver, and you're like, why do I care about that again? Some people don't know that the Burning Hammer is the Burning Hammer. You know, some people just don't fucking know. And there nearly needs to be. Oh, I don't like what I'm about to say. Um, AEW and that style of wrestling is like the original Lord of the Rings when it came with the Elvish dictionary. There was subcontext provided to it that you had to buy into to be a real fan.
Mm.
Doesn't that hurt?
Yeah, I got
Hurts.
it. Do you know what it is? Actually, I'll give it even more on the nose comparison. AEW is Dark Souls in wrestling form.
Yeah.
Because like when you play Dark Souls, you basically get your shit rocked in like the first minute, and basically the game is going, you fucked that up. It's like I didn't do anything. I walked out of the fucking dungeon. It's like yeah, exactly. You did it wrong. Do it better. And that level of buy-in is fine for people who like that. And again, the Soulsborne genre is literally just there for people who want to suffer. And
Yeah.
that's good for them. Happy out. Like I don't hold anything against them. Some of my best friends are fans of the Soulsborne game.
Get
You know?
good. Get good. Parry
Exactly, you
this.
know, and their cycle of self-loading is for them to enjoy. But at the
Sorry,
very least, like
are you talking about Dark Souls or AEW?
I'll let you decide on that one, Brian. But in all seriousness, like there's certain things where like again I'm literally like talking to you here as I'm watching Double or Nothing in the background, and it's intriguing. Where like I just watched a match here now, and even from the bits I've seen, I've actually do you know what that was actually seen to be pretty good. But I think it's because I've seen it in bits and I missed like another 5-10 minutes of it. Where like
Mhm.
okay, almost watching 50% of that match was actually pretty good. I don't need to see the other 50% because you got your point across. Like the one angle, and you might know what I'm talking about, Jamie. It was probably the Osprey and Joe match. Where like, do you know what? The angle in that was fine. I'm glad I
E-
missed the rest of it because it probably would have obfuscated the point.
Even the finish. Joe
Mm.
goes for the muscle buster. Osprey jumps out, hits the ropes, hits him with the hidden blade. Wonderful finish. Genuinely good spot. Joe
Yeah.
kicks out at 1, so
Mhm.
Osprey hits another hidden blade. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
helped nobody.
yeah.
Mm. But
That
again, the angle I
buy-in.
loved there was the coquina clutch, and Osprey survived it, because it was that was the story they were trying to tell, is that basically they had to try and toughen Osprey up so he doesn't fuck his neck up again. But like
Yes.
so that this is
Sorry for the
exactly
spoiler.
yeah. Uh,
Apologies.
fuck him. It's fine. It's
But
like again, it's that sort of thing where, like, if you've been watching the product, you probably know where that's been going to begin with. Although probably him actually winning was probably a bit of a surprise. But what I would say to that is, because I was going to give examples of stories that aren't working for me. Osprey with the Death Riders doesn't, because it's just too incompatible. You've thrown in like a complete unicorn of a wrestler into like Sons of Anarchy. It's like the oil and water kind of a dynamic is too much, and
I
I can't take seriously the idea that you have to toughen up this guy who has worked himself down to the ground so much that his neck is fucked. Surely the problem is that he needs to ease up as opposed to toughen up. But then this is the kind of the tinted lens that AEW operates on.
you see that's the thing. I would give that a pass if he changed
Mm.
his style at all.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
this was
Yeah,
an opportunity to stop doing the athletic flippy stuff and just be mean and punch people instead of flipping to kick them,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'd actually
Just
say
kick
it was a success. But he's not. He's still doing competitive 15-minute matches on Dynamite to build to this.
It
mm.
is.
It's
That's
not.
you've said it there. Two things you've nailed there, Jonathan, is buy-in and crossover.
Mm.
Wrestling a, is always going to be crossover episodes when you have supposedly and there should be very specific types of performers like Danhausen and Miz are chalk and cheese. They should never meet. They don't come from the same worlds. They are not from the same universes. It is, have you played or looked at anything to do with Mortal Kombat recently?
Yeah,
Isn't it the most convoluted load of shite? It's it's it was DC versus Mortal Kombat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a
And it was a
crossover thing.
load.
Yeah.
It was the biggest load of waffle, but I fucking loved it.
Mm.
Like seeing Joker and Scorpion fight each other. And you're like, what's the context of this? I'm like, I don't care. It's just crazy. And I love it. And I keep meaning to watch AEW and I keep wanting to watch AEW. And I just can't buy in. And more specifically, what makes you cash out is my point. Is there something specifically in wrestling that's your fucking hard no? Because seemingly all of us are the same, that we don't like too many flippies. But is there something that you're like, not in my wrestling? Like I mentioned intergender stuff there, and you just went, ah, for fuck's sake.
I think a lot of it's about sticking the landing for me. I think that's the other aspect, because I like, again, going back to the idea of kind of the stories that are not landing with me at the moment, is that especially in the WWE side, I don't really trust them to stick to the plan. Because I'm reminded of, like, ironically enough, it's actually Cody Rhodes is unfortunately the kind of the focus of this 2 years in a row, because famously we had the match with John Cena that went south because of the Travis Scott situation. That's not Cody's fault. It's the fact that the WWE as a corporate entity find it important to not just wedge like interesting or interesting in quotation marks here, interesting people into their feuds to get that kind of like main crossover. And they did the same thing again then with Pat McAfee in the match against Randy Orton. The Cody Randy feud was perfectly fine without Pat McAfee's interference. And if anything, and again, it's not Pat's fault in a sense, because like I think given the choice, he probably wouldn't have wanted to be involved in this. But because he did get interjected into this feud, it actually completely took the sting out of it and literally burst the balloon, to the extent that the WrestleMania match made absolutely no sense. It was absolutely incoherent mess. And they basically kept the title on Cody because it was the safer, more conservative option, essentially damage limitation.
Pat
Um,
McAfee, Pat McAfee showing up in that scenario was the equivalent of my favorite movie, In
mm,
Bruges, and Paddington Bear showed up. I know
yeah,
him and Brendan
like
are
that's
I know
completely
him
out of
and
pocket.
Brendan are
Yeah, yeah,
great friends, but it would have really messed with the fucking ending.
yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
like, and don't get me wrong, those modern Paddington Bear films are a fucking
Mm,
goddamn treat, and I fucking love them so much.
yeah. Like
But
I think I said before that like there's something to be said where like it is actually okay to go with the correct if the most obvious answer is the correct answer, it is okay to stick to that.
yeah,
Like you don't not every kind of like decision you make has to dupe the fans into a certain false sense of security. Like it was fine that WrestleMania 40 was Cody Rhodes finishing the story. That was the whole point. It was the actual fact that you were able to do that, to like that the story in of itself was that he was able to get the job done. What people were tuning in for was how he was going to do it. If a story does have a predictable end, it is okay to stick to that plan, but just do it right and do it well. And I think
WW,
WWE's problem is that not only do I think they've, not to say that they've lost like the touch in that sense of like being
they
able to
absolutely have.
well, no, I think it depends really. Like I think
Absolutely
for
have.
stuff down the mid card, I think they're a little bit more comfortable in the sense where like this is probably not a good example now because they just randomly just done a random sequel in Italy. But the Brock and Owen match was sublime work because it was so simple. It was like two horses hitting each other until one of them doesn't get back up again. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. But what made it such a perfect work was that it seemed that like it slayed the beast. It now that win had significance, that it had power to it. Um, Whereas if that had a title to it, WWE then feel obliged to add more to it and add more and add more and add more and overbook it. Which was why I was quite refreshed that the Reigns and CM Punk match was just an excellent wrestling match because that's the way it should be. Um, and again, I don't know how much of that was down to the fact that like the night one main event was a fucking horror show, so they had to keep it simple just to stop the peasants revolting. Um, so I think that's what it is. I
WWE.
think a lot of people just want to have consistency in the right places and have the characters be coherent as well.
Yeah, that's
And I
huge.
think that's AEW's fault more than WWE's. Like the characters are quite coherent on WWE, it's just that they just don't do anything. Whereas AEW is that they're doing too much.
WWE are trying to convince us of a Kaiser Soze style who is it and who done it with the fucking Teletubbies. It just doesn't. There's nothing about what WWE is doing that is tone appropriate in their presentation, in their characterization. Nothing that they do. Everything is its own little island, and it is fully down to there's no fucking ownership of fucking storylines, and all I fucking see, and I hinted at it and heard a fucking line off Triple H saying, "Yeah, are you enjoying the show? Good, because my favorite bit is making you guess." I'm like, why do you want your fucking fan base to be fucking guessing? Just give me a fucking easy fucking story. Why do you have to be trying to fucking new fucking kayfabe people? And I saw fucking Brock come back and I went, I don't care. I don't care. I fuck him. I'm done with him as a character, as a story. What the fuck is this gonna do? To run it back now so fucking quickly. I'm like, fuck you. And I hate the fucking connection my brain has made. But Brock has a fucking habit, doesn't he? He has a real fucking habit of just spoiling a good fucking run for a wrestler who looks like Oba and Kofi and enter anyone else here. It's a terrible connection my brain has fucking made, and I'm not exactly fucking saying that's what it is. but I just
I think we can put down to unfortunate coincidence in fairness.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
look, Jesus Christ. I'm talking about fucking conspiracy theories. It's bullshit. But that's not even part of it. It's just Oba won, he's the new killer, and now Brock is back. Fuck off. Like
You see,
I don't
I'd agree, except for the fact that I'm entirely confident that he's going to do it again.
Yeah.
I'm convinced there's not a way in hell that Brock is winning that match.
I agree with you. I don't think it benefits anybody for him to win, and I think that's also why it makes the sequel so perplexing. Is that like, is there a reason why we're doing this again? Because I think Oba's got the rub there that he needed off Brock. So why does he need it a second time? Probably the reason is that SummerSlam is a long way away, and we have nothing for this guy. So we need to put something in between. This is where you probably could have done with maybe again. WWE's problems are often self-inflicted in that the corporate side and the wrestling side don't mix, and that has been
Yeah.
evident in how they actively interfere with the creative process. Your executives and your people that are in charge of the kind of the purse strings at TKO would go, actually, we want to put this guy into the main story. You wrestling people go and make it work.
figure it out.
Actually, we're going to see this guy that you've been putting into the background of your segments, setting up your feud for the next few weeks. Yeah, we're going to sack him.
Mhm.
So sorry about you, but you
We
haven't been
wanna-
using him, and he's too expensive. So we're just going to get rid of him.
We
So-
want to focus on tag team wrestling. Let's get rid of the New Day and the Motor City Machine Guns.
So like, but again,
Certainly a
again, like it's a very cynical reason. But the reason they're doing that is that they'd rather have two singles competitors become a tag team rather than hiring two people. Like it's corporate bullshit. This is perhaps not news, but
Well, that was the one
Again-
thing that you had the office with.
Mm.
Ugh, I don't like fucking making any compliment towards Vinnie Mac, but he was the office and the booker and the writer.
Yeah.
At least there was fucking psychotic synergy.
But that's just it. Like it's a shall we say it's the buck stops with him sort of principle. But now that it's a very much a more corporate energy, there is no culpability. It is just like, well, this is the situation we're with. It was like, then just stop doing this. Like just tell these people to fuck off. You know.
There's so many great fucking things. Like I am annoyed I'm not gonna get to see Javon Evans because I love watching him. He's just something about him. I just look at him and think, God, he's fucking fun. And the theme we found, God, he's fucking bought it. He's bought in.
Yeah.
He is exactly that. He's this young upstart, cool, fucking amazing in the ring, big fucking smile on him, and I fucking believe it. When he's on screen, I'm happier because he's just effervescent fucking vibe of a person, and I'm not gonna get to see him because I'm not fucking watching it. That's my out. My out is this has gotten way too fucking convoluted. It's way too fucking complex. I actually have to think about moral implications. I just want to watch telly.
I think there's a moral aspect of it, yes, but I think it's also if we're judging just the content by itself, there is actually no real incentive to watch Raw on SmackDown on a weekly basis because it's ultimately the same show every week, and very little changes from week to week. And again, they only really pace themselves when it comes to a major show. Like WWE again, I think Jamie said it earlier on in the pod, or maybe it was yourself, Brian. I can't remember. It's been a long podcast, but they know that like people are not watching week to week. People are passing by, particularly on Netflix and particularly just based off clips and social media alone. It is enough for us as casual fans to know the program is for Clash in Italy, and we'll fill in the blanks ourselves. People who watch the show will get the little kind of points of nuance and dynamics between the characters and go from there. But ultimately, if we've been watching wrestling as long as we have, you've seen the same stories over and over again. You can kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. It's very rare you see something original, and that's across the board. That's not just in wrestling. That's in all mediums. The most original thing I've seen recently is in AEW with the Darby Allin Championship reign, where he basically bollocks himself into a loss, which is a fascinating story. I've never seen that done before, where you have someone who is inherently self-destructive get the golden opportunity to become a champion, becomes world champion, and is still self-destructive.
It's
It's
okay.
fascinating.
He did it with his TBS run or TNT run or letter.
TNT run, yeah, exactly, yeah.
He did,
Sorry,
that is literally the
I
only
cut
one.
across you there, JB. I don't know if you wanted to jump on that point or not.
No, it's just down to the point of shit. What was the point? Oh yeah, original things.
Yes.
It's actually why I think, and this is bordering on fantasy booking,
Mm.
but it's one of the reasons why I'm actually okay with Brock Lesnar coming back
Okay.
because people have beaten Brock Lesnar before. It's happened. It's happened here. It happened in real life. Did Omos beat Brock just a couple of years ago?
Mm.
But what I think they're going to do, because as well, it's hard to find someone to put in an actual program to be actually competitive with Obafemi right now because what they're trying to do with the elevation. So I think what they're genuinely going to do is Oba beat Brock at Mania. I think he scared the beast, he conquered the beast, sent him running into retirement. Brock then decided to have another go because he couldn't let it go. I think Oba's going to put him down again. And then I think we're going to go to SummerSlam in Minneapolis for Oba Brock 3. And I think Oba Femi is going to beat Brock 3 times in a row and retire.
Interesting.
I would hope
Which,
so.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
because people have had one off victories against him, but he usually gets it back on the back end.
Mhm.
I think we are going to see the domination and destruction of the beast.
Mm.
I would
I
hope
suppose
to.
you could make the argument that
Yeah.
the first loss kind of demystifies him, and then the second one you could almost say like actually dehumanizes him a little bit because he's lost his luster. He's lost twice in a row. It's very UFC booking actually in a very roundabout way.
It's the horrible thing in that I could see that selling T-shirts
Yeah.
because let's be honest, that's the game. Sell
Yeah.
tickets, sell merch.
Mm.
Oba Femi Beast Slayer. Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's nice. But there's just so much in wrestling. Because look, we've been watching it, and I've been watching it since I was, I think, 8.
Mm.
I'm no longer 8. I have gained a few years in between then, and it's just I saw Austin. I went, Mammy, can I have a Stone Cold T-shirt? It was that. That's it. That's
Yeah.
wrestling surmised. Is I like the person, as is evident to anyone on the local scene that I like. I'm like, make a shirt. I want to give you money. They'd be really better off setting up a fucking Patreon. I just want to give them fucking cash to be like, here, thanks for throwing yourself at the floor for my amusement.
To be
Let's
fair, I've
just
always
go to.
believed that like Irish wrestling promotions just set up a subscription for setup and do it
Mhm.
like a season ticket. Like, don't necessarily if you can't go to shows all the time, you can support the actual company and become a member.
You
That's
can
a
do it
conversation for
like
another day.
it seemingly can be done with the VOD, but like there's so
Mm.
much buy-in is really really clicked in my brain, and what annoys me, and it was fascinating. It's just like diametrically. I think Jamie, we slowly, but by doing these slightly more long-winded podcasts, are figuring out. I don't think we agree on a goddamn thing in wrestling. Genuinely, which is fucking great. And I would much rather disagree with elegance than agree with mediocrity.
Mm.
I would much rather sit here and know why people think what they do, understand entirely why you think what you think, and go, that was really well fucking put together. I just love rhetoric. I just like hearing. I was raised on talk radio. I just love hearing people talk and about something that I already love. I'm sitting when Jonathan, when you're off on a run, I'm just sitting back and going, I get a front row seat to this podcast. Oh wait, I'm on one.
I'll remember that next time I'm doing one, so I'll do it in the voice of Joe Duffy
Yeah,
and do a little bit more nasally, a little bit slower than like that, and
but like it was
traumatize you even further.
especially with I look, like, I know we fucking do we jump into each other on group chats and stuff, but like I would much rather hear someone say something I disagree with and know why than have someone just have some batshit fucking reason for something. And I'm like, oh, I agree with you, but I don't like what you're saying. Like Dan, I adore Danhausen. I love Danhausen. I love everything he fucking does. I've been following him for fucking years, and to my mind, he could probably do no wrong, but we'll fucking get there. Um, he'll jump the fucking shark, and then he'll jump the
Mm.
shark with a shark. And he'll fucking sell a T-shirt on it. And I'm like, of course you will. You carny fuck, I love you.
Just to end this segment, actually, you've landed on another point that I think is quite important on the storytelling aspect, is to know when to jump to the next thing. Because I think a lot of people have the problem is that not only when the story goes so long, but when a character goes too long. Um, and it's an appropriate conversation for Cody Rhodes, because I think a lot of that is a kind of perception as well, is that this iteration of Cody has gone quite long enough, and there's very little juice left in the proverbial lemon for when it comes to Cody. But in order to kind of make that next phase believable, it has to have the right starting points. And in order for you to do that, you need to have someone that's going to take that same mantle. So Cody essentially needs to be replaced in the hierarchy with someone else.
Someone,
Um,
someone
and
needs
that's
to.
and that's the curious part. That's probably the reason why you're not going to see it, because there is no one else that will do that same job at present
It's not
until
even.
it's
It's not
needed.
even. It's not even the storytelling. It's not even the booking. That's not even the characterization. He likes handing out those belts to the kids.
Mm.
Would you? On, I don't think I'd want to give that up. That
No,
connection.
no, absolutely.
That
Yeah, yeah. And
that
I'm speaking
fucking.
from a purely creative point of view. Like ultimately,
But
that's the first world problem there, you know?
but like, all right, take Cena,
Mm.
as the example, and look what he did with Peacemaker.
Yeah,
Fucking
it's a fair
really,
point,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed it. Didn't watch season 2, just didn't get around to it. Really enjoyed season 1.
Mm.
Really fucking funny. Really fucking good
Good.
show. And and then he comes back and does his rah-rah speeches in WWE. Like, it's just like, okay, cool. It can be both.
Hmm.
I don't see Cody having too much more to his bow in terms of performance. Whether he's just going to run for office is his own fucking machinations. But him as a heel is really fucking intriguing, because I saw it in Ring of Honor and I really liked it because I fucking believed it.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
think that's the other aspect of it, is that like people kind of want to have it now, but the reality is that you're like, much like with the heel Roman Reigns, you're gonna be waiting a while, and
yeah.
it's probably not going to be on your terms. It's just going to happen, and when it does
Cody will
happen, that's when the
pass.
bell rings, and your own mental bell rings, and you can start tuning in.
Cody will pass the ball when someone's able to outrun him. He always uses the quarterback.
Hmm.
I listen to a lot of his What You Want to Talk About podcast, because some of the conversations are very genuine. You get different responses out of people. Maybe because they're all bought in and they're playing the game,
Mm.
but say it again, bought in. But he just loves talking, and he talks a load of fucking shite, which is weird because I'm probably his fucking kindred spirit. It's just something that he is so into his own fucking ecosystem and his own little Cody verse. The fact that he got fucking Raheem on WWE TV is insane to me. How he was not. The phrases jumping to mind are actually problematic. How he was not genuinely run out of the fucking business after that line is insane to me. If that was anyone else who tried that type of line, it's fascinating that, holy shit, I don't think he can actually do any wrong. And by doing wrong, he's actually far more fucking intriguing. He just
Mm.
stays away from the cookie cutter and he leans in. He just doesn't. It's fascinating. He didn't do it. He wouldn't pull the fucking trigger in AEW. He knew the fucking right was on the wall with AEW when they didn't want to do wrestling and they wanted to do indie ish
Indie riffing
stuff.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And I can just. What could have been and what can be. God damn, I'd love Dustin Rhodes in WWE to let them fucking string that out. But that's not happening. And I was very tantalised to see what Jericho could have done in the Netflix era. Moreover, the fact that he could have got someone else over,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he would have had to, because he would have been paid to do that. Hello, CM Punk. Um, like when Punk eventually passes the ball, it's going to be to someone who hopefully takes it and runs with it.
Mm.
I'm eyeing up like Ethan Page to be the person to be able to run with it. Someone who can. That's what Cody needs, is for someone to do it better than him. And like Cody's fucking story is not the one that's being told. It's the one that he fucking tells. If you piece together enough of his stuff, he's a
Hmm.
really fucking interesting, hardworking, diligent motherfucker. I can't not like him. And maybe for the fact that he's just a ridiculously passionate dad, that it really strikes a fucking chord to me that he burns the fucking candle and
Hmm.
he'll go until the wheels fucking go off. Doesn't give
Again,
a
I think you kind of said it there. He believes his own bullshit enough for us to believe in him
Mhm.
in a really roundabout
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So yeah, Joe Hendry, next world champion. There you
Yeah, that works out for me then, yeah.
go.
Great stuff. Okay then. So let's wrap up the show then with our little update of our top graps list.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is it's been a while since you've had a look at this list, and I can tell you
Wow.
now, I'd say there's a few names that are a little bit expired, like the sour milk that it is. But we'll have a look anyway. If you're not familiar, this is where we are looking at our what we think are the 10 most interesting acts at the moment in the world of wrestling. Doesn't have to be WWE; it can be anywhere. And as you said, we've had a couple of shows that are outside the WWE realm since we've spoken to you. So we shall see if anything penetrates the top 10. Based off Jamie's testimonial, I don't think so, but you know what? I live in hope. So I'll give you the top 10 as it stands right now. So in ascending order is number 10, El Grande Americano, followed then by Trick Williams. Gunther, next up then, after then is Liv Morgan, Jacob Fatu after that. The top 5 then is Finn Balor, Danhausen, Roman Reigns, Obafemi, and CM Punk. Now, if you're not familiar with how this works, basically every time we look at this list, we remove one name and add another. And we made a special revision last time because it was Mania that we added two, but we're back to the one per episode here. So we're
What's
looking to take out
the
one name from the list and add in one.
what's 3 and 2 again, John?
So Roman Reigns is 3 and Obafemi is 2 at the
Yeah.
moment. Yes. So what kind of, I suppose before we start taking names out of the list, what ones have actually caught our eyes generally?
Americano has to be launched up first of all,
Yeah,
without question.
Hmm.
I would
Um,
also argue that the other Americanos should be at it.
To be fair, I think for me the El Gran Americano is kind of covering for both. Like it's the
yeah,
idea of them
Okay,
both. In fairness,
fair
like yeah,
enough.
because it's kind of hard to.
this is fascinating
Fair.
because I can genuinely look at this list now and think everyone's crap, bar
Hmm.
Danhausen and Oba. No one
There's
is
there's certainly a
really.
few that's been cooled off anyway. Like obviously Punk is
Yeah,
on a bit of a mini retirement to use a Gary Nevillism there, but I think that a few of the other ones are kind of in. They're kind of brewing. They're kind of in a little bit of a stewing pot at the minute.
this is fascinating of the time of year that it's in, that there's no
Hmm.
real direct focus on any of these people. It's in that space saver fucking memory card fucking mode of just like where I
Hmm.
feel like we're floating on the menu at the moment.
Yeah.
We're just kind of floating on the fucking game menu. We're not exactly playing the game right now. We're no, but it's unfortunate the fact that I am actually quite unqualified to talk about a lot of these stuff in modern context. So I may have to defer to you on this one, lads. I've not really been watching a lot.
Okay, well, I suppose like for me, I say the a few names that have kind of caught my eye recently, and actually it's all from like kind of the new people coming in. I'd have to say fair play to Mason Rook for getting over so quickly in NXT. But funny enough, like his debut jockeyed back on the debut in that same segment where basically everyone just thought he was just some random fat lad who could do a
Yeah,
moonsault, and then
yeah,
watching all the NXT core fan base learning in real time that this guy Will Cruz is actually a serious bad motherfucker.
yeah.
That's got time on his side, and everyone's going, "Oh, I'm very excited now." And then immediately within the space of 2 or 3 weeks, they know everything about him. They know his signature chant, and all they have to do is seamlessly find a name that has the same rhyming couplet, and lo and
Yeah.
behold, Mason Rook is born.
Um,
Um,
The
And to his
Cena
credit,
rub,
he's landed very well. To his,
the
you
Cena,
have
the
to say.
Cena rub definitely helped.
Yep. But again, it's that same thing where like clearly if he's seeing this, then he must be doing something well. You can say the same for Lizzie Rain as well. I think she had a fantastic debut in NXT and she's kind of slotting in there very well. Jamie, you mentioned on the TNA side that Leon Slater is really impressing, and I think that's still someone I think we can stick on this list if we have no other strong candidates, to be honest.
Actually, someone to return to the list potentially who has really hit his stride is Mike Santana. They finally
Yep.
did the match with Steve Macklin that they should have had at the pay-per-view, and again, it was the main event the week following the X Division title match, and they
hmm
were both fantastic.
hmm
Someone who I think is doing really well with the main roster um, addition, now that they've been called up, and someone who just fit in like a glove, and like his promo on Raw with Michael Cole, the interview was just
Mm.
excellent, is Ethan Page.
I'm glad you said anything big. I
I think
actually
he's
had Joe
actually
Hendry written down
bringing
here
an
as
energy
well.
to the
Yeah.
show.
I was worried a little bit for Ethan now, in fairness, because I thought he was a little bit middling in NXT towards the end. But I'm glad, like, again, it's one of those things where, like, it's almost like Bobby Roode in a sense, where, like, the NXT
Yeah,
vibe didn't really suit him towards the end, but Raw did. It was kind of strange in that way, you know?
he
Mm.
can do everything.
Mm.
Everything.
I feel like he's doing MJF better than MJF.
Yeah. Oh, he's
That's
he's
the
well
merit.
and truly the WWE equivalent of MJF, and he's, as I said, like, he's not having to wear a Burberry scarf to get the point across. He just has to be a dickhead, and lo and behold, it works.
Anyone who is in a Danhausen vlog is okay with me.
Again, maybe it's worthwhile mentioning Becky and Rhea Ripley here as well. I mean,
So
they're both kind of leaders of their respective divisions here as well, doing quite good work.
is
There's a few candidates to
is
go
Sol
on. All
Ruka in the
right,
top 10?
no,
No.
not yet. Yeah,
Is
she's a
Liv in
candidate
the
as
top
well.
10?
Yeah,
Liv is the ladies' representative.
she is. So anyway, so let's talk about who's going off the list anyway. I mean, obviously CM Punk is kind of benched, so he could be a strong candidate. As I said, Liv hasn't been doing much herself. In fairness, I think everyone else has a kind of a right to be there at the moment.
They're
I
the
think realistically, so I
two
think.
that I like, and I'm a filthy clip watcher, so
Mm,
they're the two I've just seen fuck all of. So yeah, bounce them.
I'd, I'd be an advocate for Punk, but anyone who's actually on the show deserves to be there more than him.
yeah, I agree. I think we can
I'm
take Punk
sure
off
he'll
the list for the
re-enter when he
moment. Yeah,
returns, but
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, he
Um.
is an
So then,
active.
so let's reconstruct the list then. So who do we think is kind of in contention for being the most interesting wrestler right now? Is it still, because if we have Punk removed off the list, Obafemi would take the top spots, but is
Well,
there anyone that's currently taking the momentum?
given we literally waxed lyrical about it, Americano #1. It's the only
Yeah,
one we talked about.
yeah.
Yep. Okay,
And for
let's
where
do
we're
that.
at with the build to that match and with the match coming up so soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Very good. Will we keep Obafemi second, or is there other people chasing ahead of him?
I mean, I just want to fucking put Danhausen further up the list, but no. Um, is there anyone better than?
I'd be happy leaving him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the big moment, so yeah, he's
Mm.
still there. He's still front and. I mean, we literally talked about him.
There's a really rare thing happening right now where the company seems to want to push him as the guy, but
Mhm.
also the fans seem to want to accept him as the guy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
You
it's
don't
worked out
always
really
get
well.
both
Yeah.
things.
This doesn't
And
always happen. It's weird.
the fucking weirdest thing, and I'm super casual. I don't feel like he's ready, or at least he's not being presented in that right way. He's
Mm.
just
That's why he has to beat Brock 3 times.
like, who gives a fuck? Like but he in himself. I've seen very little of him in terms of backstage stuff, but everyone has turned around and said he's the future, he's the future, he's the future, he's the future. When the fuck does the future start?
Mm.
Because like
Yeah.
it has to happen eventually. Like
Well,
I
arguably,
think this goes back to
Brock
Triple
Von
H's a
Breaker
less is more
was the
approach.
future, and now he's the present.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very, very true.
So,
Yeah.
but cool. Roman, fucking what? Couldn't.
Roman and would Jacob have moved up a little bit more now with this match now in Italy coming up? Is he doing enough for you? For me, he's kind of
Yeah,
staying where he is, sixth and seventh.
it has a lot of potential.
Mm.
To be the fucking bloodline again.
I, yeah,
It actually feels like this is what it should have been
I don't
before.
even know if it is the bloodline thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't think it
No,
is. I think
Jacob should have.
it's something
Jacob's
else.
better than
Yeah.
Solo. Jacob does Solo better than Solo did
And
Solo.
I like
Yeah.
Solo.
But
Solo's hilarious. He's like really fucking funny. He's got great
yeah,
timing. He's being really under. He would,
he does.
you know who I love. Can we just run fucking Solo and Danhausen at each other for 6 months? Because it'll be fucking great. It'll be so good. The thumb
Don't even know
versus the
you'd do the
point of the
match.
curse.
Imagine- you ever seen a man curse a thumb? Yeah, once actually.
Oh.
But you know what? I think we'll go with Danhausen third because I do think like the Roman and kind of Jacob stuff is kind of brewing separately, whereas like Danhausen still is his own centerpiece on WWE television and on the social. So I think that's only fair. So
Yeah.
that, I'm
He still has
so
momentum.
exactly, yeah.
Still.
So we'll drop the Roman down to fourth maybe, unless
Yeah.
anyone says otherwise.
No, don't
So
worry.
then we're looking at the likes of maybe Jacob up his place then, so they'd be right beside each other.
Yeah.
And then what we have left then is Balor, Morgan, Gunter, Trick, and whoever our new entry is, whoever that may be.
Well, Liv is gone, isn't she?
We're taking Punk out. We're only taking out one. So
taking one. Sorry. Then yeah.
yeah.
Now,
With that being said, yeah.
I would have to add the fucking caveat, fucking bounce Liv out for one of the girlos because she's just not fucking doing it at all. Well, at least I haven't seen her. So again, I'm super fucking casual, so please correct me.
Mm.
Like that, you can't have people there on a list just because they were,
No, but with Liv, it feels a little bit, and again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it feels a little bit like in the build to WrestleMania, Stephanie knocked her into Roxanne. She grew a golf ball on her head.
Yeah.
They did the match at Mania because they really had to. They made it 5 minutes. And she hasn't really had any matches since. I'm wondering, is there concussion protocol in play?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, like Cody was on the was bench for Backlash and kind of for main event. So I think that's a part of it. That's part of it as well. Is that like they're doing Cody Gunter now because it suits the main event, but like also guy had a broken fucking orbital socket. So I think that's only fair. Like,
Ugh.
yeah. So yeah, I think we'll put Liv at the top, the bottom of the list anyway for sure. So in terms of the new entries, so we have a couple of names here. So you said Mike Santana and Jamie. We had Sol Ruka and Ethan Page as candidates as well. Picking between those three, what would you be inclined to go for?
Even outside of them, just to be fair, I don't like AEW as a product. I don't like some of the talent, but there are some genuinely excellent wrestlers there. It's not. I won't say they're all terrible just because they work there.
There's been a new debuting wrestler there, Michael Foley. Things go well for him.
I pray they don't actually put him in a match.
Oh no.
And Tony's made it clear he'd like to, and I no, please,
let's not do
don't.
that. Yeah,
purely for that promo he did with Darby, I would absolutely throw Darby in for the work he had done. I know it's gone the way it's gone now, but
actually, Darby's a good candidate as well. Yeah, for the reign, but
hate that man.
And you're right too.
Yeah, he's a terrible human being.
He is pretty awful,
and he's a shit wrestler. Rare.
Behind the other bag, yes, but yeah. Trying to think. Oh, Jamie Hayter. She's very good.
She is very good. I'm actually watching her match right now.
Very good. Yeah, she kills it. I don't like Tekla. Sheeta is good, and Chris Statlander, she's also excellent.
I enjoy
Chris Jamie Hayter stood out to me. She was very good.
Yeah.
I think Lena Cross should be a fucking main eventer somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That everything I hear about people talking about AEW is that their women's division is fucking cracking at the moment, and it's just not getting
but
served.
the booking surrounding it isn't. It's
Yeah,
the talent is there,
It's the
yeah.
talent,
and
yeah. They've got good wrestlers, but not a good division.
yeah,
Hmm.
the
Okay.
yeah. So there
So
is people who
yes.
are doing good things.
So what do you think? So based on the conversation, I think we might narrow it down to either Saul or Mike Santana. I think based off body
Okay,
work and current interest. So what do you think, Jamie? Who will we go for in that one?
when do you have any idea when the next podcast is going to be and when this is going to get updated?
Next 2 weeks, ideally. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it to, if everyone's
Yeah.
happy to, I'll give it to Santana because Solruca will
Yeah.
be winning the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We can review that when the time comes. So yeah, okay. So Mike Santana. So what do we
He's
think
in
then?
at
So
he's in at 7. Gunther, Trick, and Liv. Then
Bunter, Trick, and Liv. Okay. And that leaves Finn Balor then at sixth then in that case.
yeah,
The addition with my own personal recommendation that everyone go look up Santana versus Macklin.
oh
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I did want to watch that match actually.
He also
Now,
had a title defense against Rich Swann that went very well.
Yeah, no,
Rich
I
Swann.
heard about that match as well. So again,
Yeah,
body
yeah,
work is really there to show, like carrying the brand.
and
Hmm.
there's Balor's doing a lot of, like, just the fact that I'm subscribed to him on a lot of different platforms. He's doing a lot of fun stuff online.
He's him and Jordan are having a great time. To be fair, their little
Mm.
kind of mini feuds going on at the minute is good crack. So yeah, good to see him having fun. So yeah, that's our top graphs list at the moment. So in ascending order, we've got Liv Morgan number 10, Gunter at 9, Trick Williams on number 8, Mike Santana back on the list at 7, Finn Balor number 6, Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns after that, Danhausen back to the bronze podium, which he can sell on for human money, followed then by Obafemi, and top of the list, both El Grande Americanos going on
Yes.
to their match then at Triple Mania coming very soon to a
See,
cinema near you. So
Excellent.
yeah, there you go. And that's our podcast for tonight, lads. Thank you very much for joining. And special thanks then for Brian and Jamie for the very highly intellectual conversation, for which Brian will have to take a entire very, very long nap afterwards, because that was a
oh
lot of
yeah,
brain he had to use in a quick succession.
me make words, think good.
Exactly. And when we come back on this podcast, we will be talking, presumably picking the bones out of Clash in Italy and the El Grande American and kind of Derby and all the other stuff that's been happening in the wrestling world. Maybe something like this will have sparked inspiration, and we'll be talking about something completely different, because that's normally how our group chats go. We all get very bored in work and we start thinking about something very random. And hey, listen, it makes for good content. So here we are now. So we'll see you then for the next one. Good night, everybody. Enjoy the graps.